Whoa. Top of the morning to you. We have show for you today. Show everywhere. Show. Oh shit! And we're back at it again. Ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Den of Nerds. I am Josh. We have an interesting show for you today. We got to talk about some really wild stuff going on in the world of entertainment, in the world of pop culture, in the world of comic book stuff. A couple of interesting stories. We had the official numbers released from Disney about Daredevil Born Again. And I'm going to be honest, they're not great, and I'm a little panicked. So we'll get into that. That's not good. So we'll talk about it. We also have some news about DC. Actually, a couple of DC stories today, kind of wild. We have a story about how Warner Brothers might be changing its leadership really soon. That's always good. So we'll talk about that. And also, some people have been speculating on how important Superman is, what Warner Brothers executives are thinking behind the scenes. Guys, the bottom line is the reality of the situation is this is a weird time for entertainment. It's a weird time in general for Hollywood. And I think people are dealing with these changes and the sort of shaky ground in really weird ways. I think we're about to see a lot of turnover from a lot of executives at a lot of different studios, because, frankly, things have not been going super well. And there is a degree here, too, of perhaps audiences changing and studios and people not necessarily keeping up with the changes, adapting with the times. And we find ourselves at, I think, just an incredibly interesting, but also very scary. If I was in Hollywood, if I was working in entertainment, which I guess I do a little bit, right? Like, sort of associated with it. It's a weird time, and I think there's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of people are questioning things. So that's what's on the schedule for today. But guess what? We do have some show notes for you guys. We are going to continue the Daredevil Born Again watch parties, even though basically nobody's watching the show. Don't worry, we'll talk about it. It's not exactly the case that nobody's watching the show, but damn, I will say when I saw the official numbers, it really shocked me. And one of the things that happened, I mean, it did make me question whether or not we should continue to be doing watch parties. I mean, technically speaking, if these numbers are to be believed, I did not do watch parties for Acolyte, right? I did not do watch parties for Agatha. Both of those shows might be getting more views. More people might have been watching those shows than even Daredevil Born Again. We'll get into it. But you see what I mean? It feels so weird. It feels so weird, dude. But we will continue doing the watch parties because I actually really like this show. I think it's really cool. So maybe this is my skeleton crew. You know? Maybe this is my show that's not performing well, that people aren't really watching. But I like it, and I'm going to keep watching it. So we'll continue to do that. We'll do that tonight at 8:30 p.m. We will continue the watch parties, okay? Also, tomorrow evening, we have the Nerdvengers members-only stream, and it's that time of the month. We're going to play some Marvel Rivals together. I have not played a lot of Marvel Rivals, man. I have been super busy, but I've also been a little bit behind on gaming in general, and I've also been, I'll be honest with you, I've been playing some Warhammer. I've been playing some Warhammer, the games, some really fun Warhammer video games. And I've been trying to play the tabletop game as well. Sometimes I play on Tabletop Simulator, which is pretty cool. So I have not played a lot of Rivals. So basically tomorrow night, you guys are going to have to carry me. I'm going to need some carrying from the Nerdvengers. So that's what's on the agenda for this week. That's what's on the agenda for today. So we'll get into that. Of course, we're going to do Q&A. We'll break into Q&A in the back half of today's show. And I expect it to be a pretty good Q&A. You know, the truth is, guys, like, I'll be completely honest with you. sometimes when you guys send me like cope or you rebut some of my points or whatever, I get a little frustrated. But today, I'm going to need it. Okay? Today, I'm going to need all the copium. I'm going to need all the excuses. I'm going to need, because here's the reality of the situation. Okay? I think when it comes to Daredevil, I think everybody's being way too nice about this. And when I looked at these numbers yesterday, and I started to really think and process this, okay? I think everybody's being way too nice about this. I am borderline hitting the panic button. I think it's that bad, okay? But here's the deal. Sometimes I overreact. I don't know if you knew this, you know. Occasionally this happens. Occasionally I overreact, okay? And I also get hung up on certain things. And so I've been through these sort of situations enough to know that not everybody feels the way that I feel. And I don't want to be a wet blanket. I don't want to be a merchant of doom and gloom and be really depressed. But I also have to find a way to speak honestly about what I think is happening, because I really, truly feel that this is not good, okay? Before we get into the exact numbers, let me ask you guys just a couple of questions as we're easing into it today. Do you know why they call sports broadcasting and commentary, do you know why they call it color commentary? Have you ever heard this expression before? Maybe I'm just old. Maybe some of you guys don't even know what that means. Maybe they don't say that anymore. But does anybody know what that means? What is the distinction? What's the difference between regular commentary and color commentary? Theory just dropped a video about you. We'll talk about that later on in the show. I know probably what's happening. Don't worry. We'll get into it. It's exciting. It's very exciting stuff. Don't worry. We'll talk about it. Yeah, so color commentary refers to the fact that these guys are not giving a straight, flat commentary. They're very excited and engaged and energized. It's a colorful commentary. It's the whole distinction here. And occasionally you'll have, because a reporter's supposed to be, at least in the traditional sense, a little bit more buttoned up, give you sort of the straight news, take out some of the BS and the angles and everything like that. Sports is more narrative. When we see somebody performing at the highest level or a champion making an incredible comeback or something like that, the narrative of that is what takes over and gives it its oomph. It's energetic and emotional. And I say all of that to say that what I do is really more color commentary than like straight reporting. I try to be as accurate as possible with what I've heard and what I think is going on, etc., right? I try to be accurate. But at the end of the day, I got into this because I'm a fan. And I'm really emotional about this sort of stuff. I really like it. I really care about this stuff a lot. So part of why I think I get so negative and I can get so emotional about these sort of things is because I care that much. So what we're about to talk about with Daredevil, remember that this is color commentary. Okay. So let's talk about it. What am I talking about exactly? What is the deal? Well, if you'll recall on yesterday's stream, which by the way, apologies to the podcast folks, you did not get yesterday's episode. We were trying out new software and it was terrible. So the audio was terrible, the video was terrible. I didn't feel comfortable releasing that beyond what we did yesterday here on YouTube Live. So apologies on that, but lesson learned. That shit sucked. We're going to stick with the tried and true what we know. Okay. You'll recall, unless you were a podcast listener, you'll recall that yesterday we discussed the fact that thus far, Disney had not released the official numbers for Daredevil Born Again. Kind of a worrying scenario because every single time they do these shows, they'll come out and give us a public number based on private information. And classically, a lot of this happened during Agatha and Penguin. You know, Warner Brothers would keep putting out numbers, and then Agatha would keep putting out numbers. And it was really funny because basically both studios are looking internally at numbers and sort of cherry picking the best way to express the best numbers that they have. So that's what happens behind the scenes. And I want to make sure that that's clear. Because yesterday when we talked about this, I was like, you know, it's a little worrying that we haven't had official numbers. I expected them to come out eventually, and I expected them to be pretty good. I did not expect this. So this is Luis Fernando. He is a trade reporter, does a lot of box office stuff. He's good. I think he has a little bit of a more positive slant here on this than I'm about to have, but he's good. So here's the numbers. Luis says, it's very unlikely the MCU's new show, Daredevil Born Again, had the performance Disney would expect, with just 7.5 million views globally of its debut after 5 days on Disney+. For perspective, that's not much different than Agatha's All Along, 9.3 million in 7 days, and lower than The Acolyte's 11.1 million in 6 days. That means its first episode won't debut in the Nielsen's overall list, and with luck, will be at the bottom of the originals list like Agatha. Agatha actually did drop out of originals list too and get back in. Nielsen only measures U.S. viewers, and only a fraction of those 7.5 come from the U.S. Back in the day, and I think this is a really important point here, back in the day, Daredevil used to be one of the most popular series on Netflix. And that's the whole reason why Disney was so bullish on its revival. Very unlikely that performing like Agatha was even considered as the end result in anyone's most pessimistic thoughts. The question is, will the new Daredevil at least grow over time like Agatha did, or will it bleed viewership as it runs like Acolyte? Okay. So those are the numbers, which again we spoke to happening eventually yesterday. So they are out here, and they are bad. I would like to phrase this whole thing with one question, and I see all the nerd theory stuff in chat. I totally get it. I will address all of that a little bit later on in the show. Don't worry. Here's the thing. Is it time to panic for Marvel Studios? That, I think, is the question. So I want to let that linger over this whole conversation, and then I'll ask you guys that. We'll go into the polls and see what you think, okay? So, a couple of things to keep in mind here. This is the best number they could come up with. This was absolutely the best number that they could come up with, and this was, with all the data they had, they picked a 5-day international number. And it's about half of what Ahsoka premiered with. Okay, so I want to put this in full context, and I think we'll probably get some people, because look, at the end of the day, this is just one chapter in an ongoing story, which is ultimately the complete collapse of Disney. Disney is, I try not to get hyperbolic, but to a person like me who has literally covered both Star Wars and Marvel from the height of their popularity under Disney to their now area of popularity, this is another chapter in the story of the collapse of those brands. And I think the first chapter should be called Disney Plus and the Destruction of Disney, because Disney Plus really did fuck them over. But the point is, this is just one piece of an ongoing puzzle, and I would love to see the overall numbers. I would assume somebody's going to put this together, whether it's Luminate, Forbes, one of these other companies is going to put this together and give us really fancy charts and, pie charts. But I mean, guys, there were all sorts of signs of really bad things happening. For instance, Mando Season 3, 30% lower viewership start than Mando Season 2. Crazy. Loki, 30% lower views. in its opening weekend compared to season 1. Loki, 30% down. Eventually it got back up there, and I think the ending was really good. But like, dude, there have been data points along this entire story that have indicated the decline in the lack of interest for these sort of things, okay? That is to say it's not all on Daredevil, of course, right? But holy shit, this is bad. So we're talking about a premiere of one of the most popular Marvel characters ever that's getting half of what Ahsoka did. Do you remember when Ahsoka first came out, there was a lot of question as to whether or not it was a hit? Well, Disney has declined so much since Ahsoka that we now look at those numbers as like Candyland when it was good. You know what I mean? So, dude, I'm just telling you again, I'm trying not to panic myself, and I'm trying not to get too negative because at the end of the day, I enjoy this fucking show. I like Marvel. I like Star Wars. I know I was really negative about Star Wars yesterday. I am, frankly, really negative on where Star Wars is at, and how could you not be? And Marvel themselves, it's been fucking ridiculous to cover these studios as they have done what they have done over the past couple of years and eroded their viewership and fandom the way that they have. It's crazy, okay? But ultimately, it's not the show's fault. I still like the show. But you kind of can't ignore these numbers coming out. And here's the thing. A couple other points on this. Daredevil represented an important test for the Marvel brand. And in my opinion, it has failed that test. The test was, in the middle of all of this chaos, with comic book movie fatigue, with you literally putting out movies that have the lowest audience score you've ever had, that are not even going to make the made-up number of 425, which you set up to make it so that your movie would be profitable at that. Like, in the middle of all sorts of really bad things happening, could Marvel create a show with a popular character that would bring its audience back? Sort of like the Guardians of the Galaxy effect. Now, put a pin in that because there is some silver lining here. We'll talk about the silver lining, and we'll talk about the potential for the show to uptick and to eventually be doing very well. But that's a separate story. The reality is Daredevil was marketed as this crown jewel of the change within Marvel Studios. The creative overhaul was used as a marketing tactic. Now, of course, I think it's significant and it's very, I think it's good and impressive, and it's good that they did it, but it was used as a marketing tactic ultimately. The whole idea here was, we are going to do the show you liked before. It's going to be more like the show you liked before. We're not going to hold this MCU thing up where we want to be totally different and carve our own path. We are going to give you what you wanted, and what you wanted was the old Netflix show. And it didn't work. Like, that promise, that marketing, that premise, that angle, that hook didn't work. Flatly, plainly, they failed. And this viewership out the gate shows that the Marvel brand itself has a massive problem. Has a massive problem. And again, I'm trying not to get too panicky here. But guys, I think everybody's being way too nice about this. And I think this is a fucking wake-up call. This should be a wake-up call. I think some people should be fired. I'm going to be honest. I think this is so bad that people should be fired. My opinion. You don't have to agree. And maybe I'm being hyperbolic. Maybe I'm overreacting. But that's like the level of shock that hit me when I saw these numbers. This is fucking crazy. In my opinion, they made a direct sequel to one of the most popular comic book shows ever created, and it performed half of what Ahsoka did. We're talking about that show performing at the level of a Star Wars show that got canceled and a Marvel show that we all kind of ragged on for being good but not getting viewership. Does anybody, is that sinking in? Does that make sense to you? Do you get how bad that is? It's pretty bad. By the way, a couple of other things before we get into the silver lining. For about 2 years, I have received a lot of backlash for one particular take that I have had. And that take has been that Marvel Studios should have and still should cancel a lot of their projects. Certain movies should have been canceled. Certain shows should have been canceled. And for years, people got mad at me for saying that, for suggesting that, sure, maybe Echo's better than we thought. It never should have been put in front of our eyeballs. Yes, Agatha actually has some really great writing. It should have never come out. Because what has happened over time is you have basically served up mid and unappealing over and over and over again. So much so that now when you actually are cooking, people are not showing up to the restaurant. So I say, and it's not a thing that's gonna, make me popular. It's frankly, a lot of people probably, even now, as I'm saying it, mad that I'm saying it, mad that I'm making this point. But like, guys, I watched this whole thing happen with Star Wars, and I was like trying to sound the alarm on the Titanic, and nobody fucking listened to me. Nobody listened to me. And here we are. This is really bad. Really bad. Okay, so now that we have officially and thoroughly analyzed just how bad these numbers are, let me give you the silver lining. Okay. So, of course, this is just out the gate. And even though it's bad in all the ways I just described, I think the show is good. I think the show is getting strong word of mouth and pretty decent reviews as well. So I do think the show has a chance to uptick a lot. And I do think it could get up into the place of like maybe where we were at the end of Loki season 2. The finale could be very popular. Things could be good here. Nothing is completely fucked with the show itself. It's more of a statement about Disney, Marvel, entertainment overall, and some of their macro decisions. This show itself is likely going to be fine, I guess. Because again, I think it's strong. They're doing season 2 right now. So at the very least, we'll get 2 seasons of this. If you're a big Daredevil fan, that's awesome. And you will get some entertaining Marvel content with Daredevil in these next couple of years. So that's of course a silver lining. I also think I just wonder if there's the ability for Marvel to like turn this thing around. And I have all sorts of thoughts. I'm sure you guys have all sorts of thoughts on what it's going to take, this, that, second, and the third. But ultimately, the story we talked about a couple of weeks ago, where they paused the Nova show, they paused Strange Academy, and then they paused whatever that zombie horror one was, Terror Incorporated. That's those. Please fucking pause that. And by the way, cancel Ironheart and cancel Wonder Man. We don't need to see that shit. It's literally going to do nothing but hurt the brand, I promise you. So the hope is, and the silver lining is, we've heard some noise that, they're canceling certain shows. They want to do an X-Men show. I think that would be great. I think that would potentially get a lot more viewership than I'm still in shock that Daredevil's doing this poorly, frankly. But you would imagine X-Men would have to have a better draw. I think also, too, if this show, let's say it never picks up, and frankly, even if it does, I think Marvel should take this data and stop doing shows. I know that sounds crazy, but maybe we need one a year, maybe one every other year. Brother, stop doing fucking shows. The Disney Plus thing is not working. I got to be honest with you. Bro, Disney Plus is the worst thing to happen to Marvel and Star Wars as a brand, maybe in the history of them existing. Disney Plus has seemingly been the worst thing to happen to both of these brands. And it's so crazy because you never would have imagined that when it first got started, right? You never would have imagined that. But I truly think with Star Wars and with Marvel, it has done that damage, So, man, uncomfortable place to be in. But the silver lining is maybe we stop doing this. Maybe we'll finally get off of this train And if I were Marvel, and you're thinking about this, if you're going to do a show, make the show like incredible. You know what the ultimate problem with Disney Plus is? And I thought about like making a whole video about this, but ultimately it's very simple. It's very fucking simple, dude. The Boys and even Invincible has been able to chart Nielsen-wise and do pretty well on streaming, okay? And of course, there's other big shows in the streaming age. Last of Us, great example. What are some of the other big ones? Fallout. Some of these are shows. I mean, dude, Squid Games. You know what's so funny about Squid Games? Is like Squid Games has been charting on Nielsen for months now. It's just dominating streaming charts. And yet you don't see a lot of conversation or fandom that has surrounded Squid Game. But by and large, people are checking it out. It's quite interesting, right? But the point is, the reason some of these shows do so well is because they have the thing, the biggest thing, the story is on the show. So if you want to know about Invincible, it's not like you're going to watch the show and it's side characters doing side stuff, and then you got to wait for the movie for the big Invincible stuff. No, it's all right there. That's Invincible. Same thing with The Boys. Like, The Boys is The Boys. Like, Disney Plus content is more like Gen V, or if they took, like, the assistant of one of the 7, turned them into the 7, and then their assistant now becomes the assistant. That's kind of like Falcon and the Winter. The point is, Disney Plus inherently is lesser than. It is inherently lesser than the movies. Every single series is lesser than the movies. Maybe not like budget-wise, because they're spending a shit ton of money on these things, but there's some effort to keep the good stuff for the films, whether it's like all of the actors or whatever. Maybe this is just a contractual thing, but ultimately, you go watch Game of Thrones, you go watch The Boys, you go watch Invincible, and you're watching the thing. The thing. You go watch Disney Plus, you're watching the Disney Plus version of the thing. John Boyega was right. It is inherently lesser than something that the Walt Disney Company spent decades building the prestige of. Man, they really fucked this up. Like, I'm going to be real. They really fucked this up, dude. So, by the way, this is my section of the script that says the silver lining. Try to be positive. So, I'm not doing it very well on that, unfortunately. I'm sorry, guys. I think this is pretty bad, and I'm personally a little shaken up about it. I mean, frankly, the show's performance is so bad, we're probably gonna have to bring back Nerd Theory. You know what I mean? So just keep that in mind. Okay, let's move on though. We got a couple other things to talk about, and then we'll break into Q&A. I know a lot of you have certain questions about certain things. Okay. All right, already. Okay, so check this out. This shit's wild. This shit is wild, man. So, trouble over at Warner Brothers. This, David Zaslav, Zazzy, is reportedly leaning to make co-CEO of DC Studios, Peter Safran, the new head of Warner Brothers, replacing Michael DeLuca and Pam Abdi. Simultaneously, there are rumors Zaslav will initiate a search for a new leadership instead. Wow. Okay, so that's pretty crazy. Let me try to like explain this and TLDR this for you, because some of you guys probably are like, what the hell? So Peter Safran is the co-president of DC Studios. DC Studios is the studio that was created for James Gunn and for Peter here. And the whole idea was, before DC Studios, all of the DC stuff was under Warner Brothers. So it would come through DeLuca and Abdi, and it was not its own studio with its own assets, with its own way of doing things, its own contracts, et cetera, et cetera. So they create DC Studios just like Marvel Studios becomes a thing. And they wanted somebody to run it, and they basically, Zaslav was just going after that MCU stuff, right? So Abdi and DeLuca have been just dealing with the regular Warner Brothers stuff, and frankly, it has not been going well, right? Especially when you look at what has happened with Joker 2. I think Joker 2 is probably where the bottom fell out for those two. Joker 2 lost a bajillion dollars. And the thing that's really different about Joker 2, and by the way, this was a Zaslav thing. It wasn't even them, but I'm sure he's mad and holds it against them. They only allowed one other investor for Joker 2. I know this might be like boring financial shit, but just listen to this. They only had one other investor. Normally you bring on a bunch. And the reason they did that is because they were so sure that Joker 2 was going to turn a profit that Zaslav and his greedy ass wanted all the profit for Warner Brothers. So they took on all the risk and they got fucked hard because that movie lost a ton of money, dude, right? And we actually even heard some reports. I think Jeff Snyder had some reports out that Zaslav was mad at DeLuca and Abdi about this. Like there was tension within the company. Now, another thing that we heard was that there's tension between Matt Reeves and Pattinson and James Gunn. And one of the reasons there's tension is because when Matt Reeves signed his contract, there was no DC Studios. Remember, I just told you, they created it when Gunn got the job. There was no DC Studios. So Matt Reeves didn't sign a contract with a studio that didn't exist. Matt Reeves signed a contract with Warner Brothers. He signed a contract with DeLuca and Abdi. And one of the things we've been talking about recently, which is kind of weird, apparently there are multiple people that have read the full script for the Batman 2. This includes Robert Pattinson. This includes Andy Serkis. Multiple people read the whole script. You know who hasn't read the whole script for Batman Part 2? James Gunn and Peter Safran. Seems like that might be about to change because if Abdi and DeLuca get the boot and Safran takes over, then all of a sudden the co-president of DC Studios is Reeves' boss. Oh no! Do you see the Game of Thrones level of gamification and weird angling and career trajectories? Do you see what's happening here? This is fascinating. This is a fascinating moment. You know, as we just talked about with Daredevil and Marvel, you know, if you really just take a step back and you can let it go a little bit, because I'm like, dude, I'm such a nerd that like it literally hurts, dude. It's a gut punch. Marvel, what? You know, I'm really fucking mad about it. But if you take a step back, the reality is entertainment's just changing right now. It's very obviously the case that a lot of people in Hollywood, they don't know what to do. They haven't been able to adapt to the change. It's a very interesting time right now. So Zaslav, of course, running this company, running the tech media side of everything that he now has as, you know, CEO of Warner's Discovery and all of that. He's looking at these changes. He's looking at the performance of these people. He's pretty frustrated. And there's another side to this story that could explain further what is happening here, okay? And it's pretty fascinating. So let's talk about this, because this was also in the Puck News article. Shout out to Matt Belloni. I got to figure out how to say his fucking name better, because his name isn't Baloney. I think it's like Belloni. I shouldn't call the dude Baloney, because people will say he's full of baloney, you know what I mean? Okay, so this is in that same article. Credit to Matt. James Gunn's Superman has almost incalculable importance to Warner Bros. Discovery, and there is reportedly genuine fear of the film studio going the way of 20th Century Fox, which was acquired by Disney in 2019. Oh my God. Check this out. From a WB veteran, an essential element of the stock price is believing that the IP of DC is meaningful. David Zaslav, big bet that they can show the world the DC IP can have real value. Superman is the first movie that will set the tone. They have a tremendous amount riding on it. Okay, so let me just explain. Let me just try to like explain this in normal speak to all of you, okay? Warner Bros., of course, publicly traded company. Wall Street is kind of a game of value evaluation and timing, and it's all kind of made up. You know, it's like what people think something is worth gets kind of built into the actual value as more people buy in, et cetera, et cetera. It's like a literal buy-in, right? The point is, Zaslav is saying here, and a lot of the reporting around Superman is that things are so bad for Warner Brothers that they desperately need for the Superman movie to be successful, because inherent to Warner Brothers' value is the ability to show that DC, which they own, which is a comic book franchise, which, you know, is like Marvel, it is valuable IP. Now, what can we make of both of these stories together? Well, considering how desperate they are, and considering how much of a play the new DCU is for the stock price and for all this stuff that matters, I think if you look back to this story, and if you consider that Zaslav might become Matt Reeves' boss, I don't know. I mean, you could see why they might want to cut DeLuca and Abdi out of the picture, possibly cut Matt Reeves out of the picture, take his Batman, and actually try to make this DC thing work. You know, it's wild because I had said in my coverage, I think we talked about this late last week, maybe Friday. The truth is they have basically 3 options, and all of them suck except for if they get Pattinson to join. It all sucks because you either get rid of Pattinson and you do your own Batman, which is going to suck because everybody loved Penguin, except me. I thought it was garbage, but everybody loves Penguin. And then everybody loves the Batman movie, right? Not me. I thought it was garbage, but everybody loves that. So people are going to be really mad if you kill that for Gunn's Batman. Bad option. Option number 2, do both of them at the same time. Terrible. Maybe worse. It gives Gunn's Batman the ability to be outshined by a different Batman and make less money than a different Batman. Terrible optics. Terrible. The best case scenario, the only case scenario for them is to have both of them together. So we might be seeing some power play moves just to get to that outcome. What a wild time in entertainment, man. What a wild time in entertainment. And of course, if this movie, if Superman, I mean, we're sitting here, right? And we're talking about Marvel, we're talking about Disney Plus, you know, we're talking about the numbers, and it's bad, and those brands have been hurt pretty bad. If Superman underperforms, it could be the death of an entire studio. That's how ridiculous things are right now. So, I don't know, man. I hope Superman gets... I mean, that's probably why they're messing with it so much. Because Zaslav is like... I mean, and also, too, some people think it's good. Some people really are worried about Superman, the movie. That's just the truth. There are people in Warner Brothers considering everything we just talked about, considering what is at stake. They're very worried about the film. So I think that's probably why they're trying to tweak it. I hope they don't, like, over micromanage it and cut it up and make it whack, right? That would be terrible. And hopefully Gunn delivered. I mean, I don't like the look of a lot of it, but the theme feels right. And we haven't seen any dialogue. We haven't actually, like, experienced the movie. So it's very hard to make a judgment call on it. I think the hype is there. Seems like there's a lot of hype for this one. Seems like there's a lot of hype for Fantastic Four. So we'll just see. But wow, what a fascinating addition to the other story that we talked about. Pretty wild. Now, I have one other small story, and then we can get into Q&A. We can go over all the nerd theory stuff because I see a bunch of people really interested in that. Okay, so one last thing we got to talk about here. This is crazy. This one goes out to Paul from Heavy Spoilers. You know what's crazy? Paul doesn't even really talk about spoilers like this much anymore. You know, he really doesn't. You know, he sits back. He kind of does his classic movie reviews. He does his breakdowns. He's really, you know, found a good spot with content. Well, the other day he made a video, and it was about a big leak for Secret Wars. And it's really a doomsday leak, but he's talking about how Scarlett Johansson's coming back, and she's going to be evil, and it's crazy. Sorry, spoilers. But interestingly, Scarlett Johansson came out, and this quote is crazy. This quote is crazy. Listen to this. Natasha is dead. She is dead. She's dead, okay? We're going to have to let it go. She saved the world. Let her have her hero moment. Fuck you, Paul, from Heavy Spoilers for making that video. I cannot believe it, especially that last thing she said. I really could not believe that she said all that. That's wild, okay? But also, what the hell? Because I actually believe Paul. You know what I mean? And this is a pretty strong rebut, a pretty strong rebuke. This is a pretty strong denial of her coming back. Now, interestingly, it's a bit of a subversion because according to the rumors, it's not the Nat that we know that's coming back. We're going to get an evil one pulled from a different universe. Now, I think she might also heroically come back, but we don't know for sure. If any of them won't come back, it'll be her. It'll be the actual heroic version of Nat will not come back because of Vormir and all that whole thing, right? It seems like pretty permanent death. But you never know. So I wonder here, like, what do you think's going on here? Do you think is this just a really strong rebut? I think the last time I remember seeing a denial this strong was when Tatiana Maslany was denying She-Hulk. And of course she was She-Hulk, but her denial was like wildly convincing. Where she was like, this stuff happens all the time. It's happened to me in the past. It's actually very dangerous. This is not true. Like she kind of, frankly, did a better job acting in that denial than she did in the fucking show. It was crazy. So I don't know. I mean, is that what's going on here? And the Oscar goes to ScarJo for her denial? Interesting. And I don't know. Let's go check on Paul, right? Because I think he's true. I think he's onto something there. Can't believe Scarlett Johansson told him to fuck off. That's crazy. That is crazy. So wild times out there in the world, ladies and gentlemen. Wild times. Okay, so that concludes the news portion of the show. Not a ton going on, but some pretty important, impactful stories. Unfortunately, not great. Not great what's going on here. A lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. Fucking Daredevil, what the fuck? Okay, now, before we get into Q&A, let me just broadly address the Nerd Theory thing. So apparently, Theory made a video. I didn't see the video. I didn't know he was making the video. But I will say we had a great phone call last night, and we talked a lot of stuff out, and the short version is that not this Friday, but next Friday, I will be in Cleveland, and I will be doing a live version of Nerd Theory with Star Wars Theory at the Fan Expo, I believe it's called, in Cleveland. So that's really cool. That's going to be exciting. If you're going to be there, try to be there. It's 3 p.m. Friday. We'll get you more info on that before the thing. But yeah, so that's gonna be cool. If you're not there live, there will be recording of it. I don't know if it'll go live or whatever. You know, Theories and his media team will probably take care of that. But we're definitely gonna record. I know Theory will have a vlog out because I'm gonna meet him. It's the first time we're actually meeting in person. Super cool, right? So Theory will have a vlog out. We're gonna meet in person. We're gonna hang out. We're gonna chill. We're gonna do that live version of the show. And I did tell him, because yesterday we were talking about just how much fun we had the other week when we got Nerd Theory back together, right? Of course. It was a great show. It was a great time, and we had great chemistry. We, fell back in to our rhythm. It was great. And so we were talking about potentially bringing Nerd Theory back. And I think we will bring Nerd Theory back in some way, shape, or form. But I need a couple of months, possibly several months, to square up a lot of the stuff that I have going on. I told him, I was like, I got to get Unity back on track before we do anything. I have to figure out the podcast with Matt because I still want to do Nerd Hammer. So I don't know what Nerd Theory will look like when we bring it back, but I did tell him we should bring it back in some way, shape, or form. So I don't know what that looks like, because I told him too. I was like, I can't do a Star Wars show. Like, I cannot do a Star Wars show because I fucking hate Star Wars right now, right? So I can't do a Star Wars show. I could potentially talk about Star Wars here and there, when news drops or whatever. I don't know. I mean, look, you know what the truth is? I'm open for suggestions and I'm open for thoughts. I'm going to need a couple of months, maybe several months to get everything figured out on my end. And then we'll figure out a way for the show to exist. And I think it'll be cool and you guys will like it. Probably going to be more broadly speaking about just entertainment in general. Maybe I have all sorts of ideas. So I don't even want to commit to any. There's just a lot I don't know, frankly. So we're going to do the show. We're going to do something. I just don't know what it'll be, Star Wars comics? Nah, can't do it. Yeah, so we'll figure it out, though. For now, the most important thing is next Friday, I will be there. We'll do a live show. That's going to be so cool. If you can be there, be there. If not, check out the videos and whatnot. And yeah, I mean, Theory and I want to work together. We want to bring the show back, and I think we will bring the show back. I just don't know exactly what it looks like. So after addressing it broadly, I will now get into the Q&A. We can talk about all the things that are on your mind. Very, very interested in what you guys think about Daredevil specifically. And hey, if you've got some cope, if you have some, if you got a spin on this that's positive, please put it into the chat. I need all the copium because, I think that shit's kind of rough. Okay, first today was Javier Mendez. By the way, guys, I'm sorry. We went back to the old formula. I can't pull the super chats up on the screen. It sucks, but I can't do it. So maybe I can figure something out where I capture this and all that, but honestly, it's fucking terrible. Okay, John says, better not be using that boof stream-ish today. I know. Dude, that shit sucked. I can't believe how bad the audio sounded. And then the video was terrible, too. I was like, what the hell is this? What the hell is this service? It was terrible. Rossi, thank you for the rose. Zach, thank you for the gifted membership. Moose 18 says, oh snap, he's going to Cleveland with Theory. Yeah, man, we'll be there. Cleveland, baby. I like Cleveland too. Dakota F says, stream looks and sounds great today. Hope all is well with you and the family. Thank you, Dakota. Yeah. I would have loved for the system yesterday and the software to just work and for it to be all good, but unfortunately it sucked balls. So we're doing our thing here. Rossi says, Theory just dropped a video about you. I noticed. That's crazy. I'll watch the video later. Marcus says, I can't wait to see you with Theory at the con panel. Oh, that's awesome. Are you going to be there, Marcus? Yeah, dude. That's going to be fun. It'll be cool to do it with a live audience and hang out. It's going to be good energy in the room. Shalami Leaner with a 10 spot says, hey Josh, I ordered a shirt since February 2019. It didn't come yet. I hope you have a great day. I'm sure it's on the way. Probably just got a little bit lost in shipping or something. But 2019? Or are you talking about since February 19th? Yo, hit me up. DM me with your order number or whatever. I can try to get that figured out. Joshua says, I don't care what the numbers are. It's a good show. It's not the fans' fault that Marvel is having to recover from bad decision making and fans are fatigued. I totally agree with you, man. I agree with you. Here's the thing, though. I obviously care what the numbers are. So if you don't care what the numbers are at all, and you're just like, no, it's a good show, man, nothing but love for you. That's awesome. I'm glad that you can be there and just enjoy it. We're going to do the watch party tonight. I'm excited to just watch it. Dude, I like the show too. But I will be honest, man, the numbers matters. Now, part of the reason the numbers matter is there's two things. It's social proof, but also it's partially because of my job. But think about this, dude. We're about to go do a watch party tonight. Frankly, guys, I feel kind of silly doing the watch party. I'm going to be real. Like, I feel kind of silly doing it. Like, I literally didn't do watch parties for shows that had more viewership. And then me, I'm just like an old school nerd. I love Daredevil. I love the old show. I get all excited for it. I'm like, let's do a watch party. Dude, the watch party. We are doing a watch party for a show that is getting less viewership than multiple shows that we did not do watch parties for. No. You say don't feel silly for what you love. No. You're missing the point. And I know this is like a nuanced thing, and it's like maybe it's hard to articulate. I don't feel silly for loving what I love. I feel silly for the studio, for that company putting me in the position where I want to just go enjoy this thing. It used to be the biggest thing ever, and now it's diminished. Like, that makes me feel silly. So, like, all I'm trying to say, I'm trying to articulate a point here, and maybe it's like an uncomfortable point, or, you know, maybe I shouldn't even bring this up or linger on it. But there, at some level, when you love a thing, when you're cheering for the thing, right? If you're a fan of a thing, I think think of it like sports, right? If your team is out there not doing well, like, sure, in a sense, you could be like, well, I care about the individual performance. Maybe they've won this game, and like that's great. Now I'm going to focus on the performance here. But the stands are half empty. They've had losing seasons. They haven't won a championship in 10 years. It's hard to like, because social proof fucking matters, dude. It fucking matters. It's crazy that Marvel let it get to this point. And as a fan, I'm very upset. I'm very upset that it has gotten to this point. Right? So, I totally get what Josh is saying here. And he's like, dude, I don't care. I like this show. It's not our fault or whatever. Totally get it. It still puts a big old fucking wet blanket on the whole thing for me. Like, I'm sorry. It does. It does. And I think it really matters. And I think the more this happens, it's going to have a cascading effect. It's going to actually get even worse if they don't fix this. Like, bro, this is crazy. Zach with a 10 spot says, I know you know way more about the industry than I do, but I think the numbers only prove that people aren't spending time on Disney Plus. I think Daredevil is the best thing they have done in a while. Yeah. Let me try to think about this. So you said people aren't spending time on Disney Plus. I think Daredevil is the best thing they have done in a while. I mean, is it a Disney Plus problem? As far as I'm concerned, Disney Plus still has the biggest show on the fucking planet, which is Bluey. Disney Plus has the second most subscribers to Netflix, and I know there's a disparity there, but the last time I checked, and I could be way off on this, but I thought it was something like 140, 150 to like 250 or 200. Disney has the second most subscribers out of any other streaming platform. Marvel's like the biggest IP maybe in the world. Daredevil was one of the most popular. Like, it's just hard for me to take what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. You're like, it just shows that people aren't on Disney Plus. Yeah, well, the problem is, why didn't the Daredevil Marvel live action show get motherfuckers on Disney Plus? Why didn't that happen? That's a problem. John says, Daredevil Born Again, greater than Hot D. Feige needs to publicly address Phase 4's failures. Most people still think Marvel is unaware they've been putting out Garbo. That is kind of interesting, right? But so this goes back to my argument of why things should be canceled. You know, because I think another thing that we need to keep in mind, and I try to bring this up often, but something we need to keep in mind is that we do not represent the majority of the fan base. The people that are here, the people that are watching this channel, you're really dialed in. Like, you're really fucking dialed in. So you knew all about the creative overhaul. You knew all about what it was. For a lot of people, maybe they didn't. You know, for a lot of people, they just thought it was more Marvel stuff, right? That's a possible explanation. I think that could make a lot of sense. That just speaks to the fact, though, that the actual product, and if it comes out and it's a stinker, that probably does a lot more damage than some stories about how they're changing it around can cover. Like, does that make sense? Like, the actual product fatiguing people will not be overcome by some stories that the ultra fans, the super fans like you and I, are picking up on. We could get excited, and we could potentially translate that excitement to a little bit of word of mouth, which will be the possible way this show actually gets to successful numbers. But for most normie, average people, they are unaware of these stories, and so they only live in the world of what have you done for me lately? Have I enjoyed the content for the studio? That's possibly a big explanation as to what's going on. Definitely. Chadwick Myers says, feel very burned about them hyping the creative overhaul and annoying the OGs and immediately writing off the original cast within 20 minutes. I think that is totally fair. Can I tell you something else that was shocking to me? Chat, you guys got to help me out with this, okay? You got to help me out with this. What? Why do so many normies hate episode 1? I have seen so many people that don't like episode 1, but actually liked episode 2 more. Have you noticed that? I don't know. I thought that was really interesting. A lot of regular people did not like episode 1. And I gotta say, I don't know if like Disney hasn't released this data, but maybe it'll come out from like Luminant or Parrot or something. I bet a lot of people quit after episode 1. I bet a lot of people quit after episode 1. Wow. Yeah, maybe we'll get that data. Because they killed off Foggy? Yeah, for sure. That could be it. That could definitely be part of it. I mean, it's obviously a big deal. So yeah, that could be it. But yeah, Chadwick is interesting. They did the creative overhaul and the OGs, and they immediately wrote them off in 20 minutes, and it became a completely different show. It's a fair point. Grant says, it seems like you are equating low viewership to the show being bad. Dude, I'm not. How? I'm not. I am literally not doing that. How many views does a show need to be good? Daredevil quality views will go up. So, look, I appreciate this, and I think, it's fun. I'll be honest, I got in a little bit of a small argument with my wife about this morning. And it was actually good that we got in the argument because it was like a big signal to me that, like, Josh, you're doing that thing again where, you're getting too wound up about this. You're feeling like people are trying to invalidate your opinion, and so therefore you're like lashing out a little bit. So I'm gonna try not to put all my rage onto Grant here, right? But I will say I find this part of the conversation to be pretty exhausting. Okay, I am not equating the quality of the show to the views. The views of the show are more a measure of the strength of the Marvel brand and how fans are feeling about Disney Plus Marvel content. So if that's not crystal clear, please consider it to now be crystal clear. Okay? Is that, like, did that make sense? All right, let's keep going there, though. I got to get back into this. Let's see here. Edvargo's Parsley Cookridge. Welcome back to the Nerd Vengers. Holy cow, what a name. Javier says Rebel Moon is the next Star Wars. You don't fucking say that. I don't like Stan says Marvel has been us for years now, with the exception of Deadpool and Wolverine in terms of success. MCU Phase 5 mainly looks like a train wreck also. Oh, it's bad. Yeah, no, I mean, dude, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. Taryn Washington says, can the average family afford Disney Plus in this economy? I think Daredevil would perform better on Netflix. I would say that you're probably not wrong that it would perform better on Netflix. I mean, frankly, Netflix seems to just dominate, and I think it's more the numbers. Everybody always says, oh, they have the most subscribers, right? And that's true. I think they also have the best technology. You know, nobody talks about this. But, you know, one of the reasons that Squid Game, like, let's talk about Squid Game a little bit. Squid Game is dubbed in every language possible. Every region has a version of Squid Game with their language. And I believe, although I'm not 100% on this, I believe they use AI to even change the faces so that it looks like they're actually speaking in the native language, something that Netflix has been working on for a while. On top of that, Netflix knows, because of the way it does its recommended serving data on the dashboard, Netflix knows its customers better than anybody. And very similar to TikTok or YouTube, they're able to recommend content that has the highest rate possible of conversion to get the click to keep the people on the platform. So Netflix is like really good at what they do. That's part of the reason why they dominate all of these charts. Hollywood people can't figure it out. It's because it's not all on just the content. It's the technology, right? It's very interesting what Netflix is able to do. Can the average family afford Disney Plus in this economy? I don't know. I mean, the economy is bad. The way I look at it is, you know, right now there's some stuff happening in the markets, you know, due to like the tariff stuff and a lot of the stuff that Trump he's pulling off. And it could be bad. I mean, it seems like he's willing to walk into recession in some ways to kind of get some things done, right? That is what it is. That's bad. But that actually disproportionately affects people that are already like wealthy and have equity. The average American, I don't even know how much money they have in the stock market, frankly. But for those people, they've been dealing with a lot of economic turmoil over the past several years, mostly inflation, right? So, yeah, things are pretty tough for people. A lot of people are squeezed. That probably has something to do with some of the decline of the memberships and the viewership of what's going on Disney Plus. But traditionally, when times get hard economically, entertainment actually does pretty well. So you'll find, at least historically, that people, even as their income goes down, they continue to spend money on entertainment or vices because things are bad. It's like a weird cycle. So I don't know, maybe there's like a lot of different things that could be going on. But I tell you, man, if you're just telling me that you think the price of Disney Plus is what's making the show perform twice as bad as Ahsoka, I cannot agree. Like, I cannot agree. Toxic says, huge news today. I'll be in Cleveland, bro. Oh, hell yeah, man. I'm excited. We're going to kick it, have a good panel, and then I'm going to convince everybody to get into Warhammer. We're going to go back to the Airbnb, Toxic. I'm going to show you guys my Warhammer, you know what I mean? Cantina Talk says, little late, what's good? Just heard the Nerd Theory news. Cannot wait for the comeback. Well, unfortunately, you're going to have to wait. It's going to take some time. Chris Listenfeld says, Nerd Theory's back, and it's gonna save Star Wars. Nope. I don't even want to talk about Star Wars. I didn't want to talk about it. Photo by Michael says, I live in Columbus, so I might pull up to Cleveland and see y'all. Oh, that'd be sick, dude. I love Columbus, by the way. I have family out there, and I used to go to there's like a gaming convention there called Origins Game Fair. Love that convention, dude. Really cool convention. I actually met Timothy Zahn at that convention. So, hell yeah. Columbus, Cleveland, good shit. Rossi says, can you guys still do Atlanta Dragon Con, please, for me? Nope. Shlomi Leaner says, LOL the 19th. Okay, cool. Send me an email. I'll try to help you out. Stephen J says, does anyone know or believe if we will see Namor again in Secret Wars? He was the best part of Black Panther 2. Would like to see him interact with Reed. Have you heard anything? No, I have heard nothing. Sorry, brother. I mean, it's possible, but I don't know. Mike S. Hangout says, despite the ratings, I will still watch Daredevil because he's my favorite hero. Yeah, me too. Me too. We're going to do the watch party tonight. I'm excited, man. I'm excited. But it puts a damper on it, and I feel like this is what's happening. I feel like some of you guys are getting mad at me for putting the damper on it. I'm fucking mad at Marvel. I'm mad that this news is like, I'm mad at Marvel and Disney. They made this bed. We're all sleeping in it. And you might want me to just ignore it, right? You might be like, dude, what? It doesn't matter. No, I'm not going to. Because they need to be held to account, dude. It needs to be said. And I think sometimes, unfortunately, it needs to be said harshly. because they need the signal from us that, like, no, this is not good. We are not having a good time. It is bullshit to build up a show for 2+ years, sell us on the fact that it's this revival of the Netflix thing, kill off Feige, get Karen out of there in 20 minutes, deliver the show in the way that it is after 2+ years, and all the other stuff that you did in between that fatigued the audience, that made people not check it out. It sucks. The show should be massive. Holy. Alex says with 10 spot, here's some copium for you. Disney bases a lot of the success of a project through merchandising sales. So the ratings will be a big part of the picture, is not the whole picture of Disney. That's true. That's true, and that's fair. I don't know that that actually helps me out too much in this current moment, but that is true. By the way, too, I haven't admitted this all stream, but I'll admit it now. Grace Randolph was right. You know, Grace Randolph had said in the lead up to Daredevil that she felt like it was soft, and that she felt like it was going to underperform. I couldn't believe it. I had the blinders on, total Marvel copium. I couldn't in a million years believe it. She was right. This is really bad. Joe says, recently got my buddies into Magic, and we are loving it. But you're really pushing me towards Warhammer 2. Space Marines seem dope. Dude, get some of the Warhammer Magic the Gathering cards. The Necron deck is awesome, Joe. It's really fun. There's one creature in there that's the Void Dragon, the Catan. Holy dude. One of the coolest creatures ever. Incredible. D Murdoch says, nah, I think the numbers are bad, but gonna go up. Season 2 is already filming, plus Punisher getting his own special. So I don't know. I think it can work out. I think it can work out too. I mean, here's the thing. You know what else, dude? I wasn't sure if I wanted to say this, but I will say it. These numbers are exactly why Robert Downey Jr. got $100 million. Like, I hope at some level people understand that. Like, this shit's so cooked that they were like, bro, we'll give you $100 million. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, it's tough. Now, of course, Daredevil could tick up. I mean, dude, I would love, in a couple of weeks from now, I would love to be talking about how we're charting now, you know, viewership's way up. Those would be great. But man, I really thought the numbers would come out and we'd be like, wow, Marvel's back. Daredevil has saved us. This is crazy. This is so big. And we're literally having the opposite. You know what I mean? So it is pretty bad. Rossi says, how much do you think the numbers have to correlate with Foggy and Karen not being in the show? Does this make people think Daredevil is unauthentic with Disney? I don't. So I guess we don't know for sure. I would tell you that I don't think it actually has a lot to do with it. To me, like, what are we saying here? That then so many people found out that Foggy was going to die and Karen's not really in the show that then they turned on it. So essentially their whole marketing ploy just didn't work and people saw right past it. I don't think so, bro. I don't think so. I think it's more the reputation over time that both Marvel and Disney Plus have got with fans. I think that's really what it is. John G says, I don't see the big deal about the numbers. Yet, like Loki, I anticipated the numbers to go up as season continues. Lack of trust, and that's Disney's fault. Fair. That's totally fair. And even a lot of my lack of trust, that's Disney's fault as well. At least I think so. Chris said, like, dude, guys, I just wish I could articulate it a little bit better. Like, this is me holding it together. This is me respecting the platform, not trying to ruin your day. And it's not content. It's not entertaining if I just go full toxic, freaking the fuck out, right? But I hope you realize that I am straddling that line, that I am absolutely basically panicked that these numbers are that bad and that shocking to me. I'm hoping that I feel a little bit better. Maybe later today, maybe going in tomorrow. Maybe the third episode's going to be so fucking dope. By the way, tonight, 8:30 tonight, I will be live, motherfuckers, and we will watch that episode. So maybe I'll be feeling a lot better then. Maybe I'll be feeling better in the next couple of days. Maybe they'll leak a whole bunch more concept art on purpose because this shit sucks right now. I'm not about this shit. Leak that shit, Feige. Give me it all. So there's a lot of ways that I could be feeling better soon. But I got to tell you, man, this does not feel good. I am very emotional about this. This is shocking, guys. This is shocking. Like, make no mistake about it. This is shocking. Chris says, with a 10 spot, that's very generous, brother. Says, in my opinion, I think it's a Marvel brand problem. And general audience has been conditioned to expect Disney Plus shows to not be great quality. It's a good point. I also think it's been too much time since the Netflix show for normies. Totally, dude. Totally. These are good points. These are good points. I agree it's more of a Marvel brand problem. Totally agree. And I hope strong word of mouth continues, and I hope it builds its audience. But this is still a sort of bitch slap of truth. This is a tough pill to swallow. Vagabond of Light says, I'm not watching Daredevil. I didn't watch the Netflix series. Once it was confirmed it was technically a season 4, I was out. Only breakdowns for me. Oh, so it's too much of an investment. Wow. I wonder if that's a part of this. That it's just too much of an investment. Because technically, it's all 3 seasons of Daredevil and the Defenders. And he pops up a little bit here and there in other shows too, right? Vagabond of Light says, is how fans consume media changing? I'll watch breakdown on YouTube before I'll commit to watching a show I am unsure of. I think that is exactly right. I think that's exactly right. I think there's a little bit more to it. So I was actually trying to explain this the other day. Because I was talking about how after the big Marvel leaks, I had trouble focusing and getting excited for Daredevil. All of my attention, all of my thoughts were on that. And I've made this argument before, and maybe nobody, I don't know, maybe it's getting across to some people. I think part of the problem here is the speed at which these projects are created. I truly believe that. I think a part of this has to do with, let me try to say it this way. When Marvel was on the come up, and those movies were connected to each other in the post-credit scene. Do you remember when a post-credit scene would blow your mind? Do you guys remember this? Do you remember when a cameo would blow your mind? Do you remember this? I think what Marvel has forgotten is that part of the reason that those things actually worked and they actually moved the needle is because at the time they were unusual and impressive. We didn't see a lot of movies that had different aesthetics and genres that technically connected to the same world. We didn't see a lot of movies where the hero of this movie could pop up in this movie and it's not their full ass story, but it feels like a connected world. That was novel back then, partially because as an audience member, you didn't think they could pull it off. It seemed crazy. So you're going to pay that guy to be in this movie just for a little bit? That's crazy. You're going to do a post-credit scene that builds into this? That's crazy. It seemed so at the bleeding edge of what was possible in entertainment. Okay? And now, what's the bleeding edge? Because they're doing all the same stuff and they're actually doing less of it, executing it worse, and it certainly doesn't feel like it's novel or at the edge. Part of why the Secret Wars leaks popped off the way they did is because for the first time in a long time, it felt like we were on the bleeding edge of discovery of what was possible for Marvel. And Marvel has lost that. They have lost that. Think about right now things that you don't even think would be possible. Basically, Marvel would never. Or they'd never be able to do that. They'd never be able to pull that off, right? Think in terms of that. Those were the things that built Marvel Studios, and they have not figured out how to pull it off. I don't know what the exact answer is, but that is something that it's severely lacking from Marvel Studios. I mean, one of the things, like, just as an example, Spider-Man in Daredevil. Okay. So they're not going to be able to do it. He's not going to be in the show. None of us expect him to be in the show, right? Because of why? Sony and Marvel. Well, once upon a time, that was true of the MCU. When Spider-Man was in Civil War, it was like one of the biggest deals ever. And the movie's like, it involves the kid a lot, but that movie could have existed without the Spider-Man character. It's about the Avengers falling apart. Spider-Man was like wild. The fact that he was in that movie was wild, dude. Sony and Marvel figured it out. Impossible. Those are the kind of things that we don't get anymore. We just accept that he won't be in the show. We just accept that Spider-Man can't do this, that'll never happen. So instead of making miracles happen, moving mountains, and shocking the audience, we're getting just the same stuff that they can do over and over again. It's not working. Does that make sense? So, you know, there's some sayings I really like, man. The one in particular is like, if you want to be known as great, you better actually do great things. And right now, if you look at Marvel, I don't see the greatness. I don't see them changing the industry. I don't see them defying the odds. I don't see them doing the actual impossible. They're not pushing the envelope forward. They're not like breaking things in media, making us rethink how this all works. So if you want to be great, Marvel Studios, you got to do some great stuff. And potentially you will, but you're not right now. You're just literally not. So I'd figure that out if I were them. Caleb Hughes says, a trailer just came out for the new Stan Lee doc. Would love your thoughts. Oh, I'll have to check it out, brother. Nerd Vengeance for Life. Also, Nerd Theory. Can't wait for that pod and the vlogs. Much love. It's going to be fun, man. I'm excited. Theory and I really had a great call last night. I honestly did not expect him to make a video, but it just kind of shows that, like, it's a big deal for him. I mean, it's a big deal for me. Like, dude, we had a really good chat last night. And I think we got some stuff off our chest. We talked about the old show. We talked about how, you know, we went our separate ways. We talked about everything. So things are good. And look, man, we cook. When we get together on a pod, something special happens. So we're going to do it. I just don't know what it looks like. I'm going to need several months to figure it out. You know, so we'll figure it out. Will F4 directly go into Doomsday like Ragnarok? I think so, brother. I think so. Joshua says, check out the MCU tier list I just put on Discord. Uh-oh, you got a tier list over here? Let me take just a quick peek at this. Where's your tier list? Let's see here. Oh, it's pretty good. It looks pretty good. I'd probably agree with that, except for Eternals. You have Eternals too low. But yeah, a lot of that I agree with. That's cool. That's cool. Appreciate you. I got to do another one of these soon. Maybe after Daredevil's done. Shockwave Lab says, how does the Daredevil viewership news have you feeling about Thunderbolts now? Great question. Not fucking good. So can I tell you a scenario? Can I tell you a scenario here? Imagine we go into Thunderbolts and it's projected to do worse than Captain America Brave New World. Thing's going to make like 200 to 300 million. We just went through the Daredevil show. Basically, nobody watched it. And Brave New World lost money. Can you imagine being a Marvel fan and having 3 failures in a row? 3 not so great things happen. And then we're just supposed to be like, oh, but Fantastic Four will be dope as hell. Doomsday, RDJ, Doctor Doom. All of a sudden, I'm starting to understand why the Russo brothers have $1 billion incentive for both movies and not a $2 billion incentive. Because shit is different. So, the viewership of Daredevil, how does it affect Thunderbolts, not good. Vandolph the Black says, it's time to speed up the production of these shows. I was initially against it, but if IPs want to compete against the changing market, AI all day. Yeah, I think it's an inevitable thing. I mean, and by the way, the consumers, sure, a lot of them will bitch, a lot of them will moan, but their appetite and their just voracious appetite for content is what has created this need. So I think AI and a lot of like visual effects with AI, they are just absolutely necessary because I think you all are just fiends. And I think your attention is so whimsical. You need to like strike a fucking chord and keep that song going. You know what I think people want these days? And you let me know if you disagree. You know what I think people want? They want people to go on generational runs. And of course, not everything's actually going to do that, right? But look at the show Severance, okay? Here's an example. Severance is a very good show, and it's very popular, and it's really captured a lot of the zeitgeist. And I think part of the reason why is because people think it's truly fucking great, and it has the opportunity to carve out a space for itself among some of the greatest television ever created. Like, this is the sort of all-star game of television, and the thing is showing up week after week and putting up huge numbers. And to be in awe, to witness something like that could potentially go on a generational run, I think that's what it is. I think that's what people are searching for. Maybe I'm just searching for that. RG says, Netflix releases shows more frequently than Disney Plus, whose opt-out is sporadic. Hulu, with more content, seems the better option if you can't get both. Oh, you mean bang for your buck? Sure. Totally agree. Yeah, I think Hulu's a better bang for your buck. Absolutely. I mean, I think Disney Plus is garbage, dude. I think its interface is garbage. I think its technology is garbage. I think the way it recommends content is garbage. Its catalog's decent, but nobody knows what the fuck is on the catalog because none of the content gets served properly. Disney Plus is terrible. Like, it's truly a terrible service. And the content kind of sucks. You know? It's tough, man. It's tough. I feel like they need some serious bitch slaps of truth over there. They need to realize how shitty it is. Because it is terrible, bro. It really is. Okay, Rossi says, I feel like Cool Bear needs to take some of the blame for this economic turmoil for obvious reasons. Oh, sure. Yeah, for a second there, I was like, what the hell? Yeah, no, I totally get it. I was actually thinking about him a lot recently for that exact purpose there, Rossi. But I decided, you know what? We'll let it go. We'll let it go. Let's try to be chill about all this. Okay. All right, chat. So there you have it. Your Q&A for today. Anything else going on? I'll hang out in the chat for just a little bit. What else is on your mind, guys? What else are you thinking? Am I going too hard? How about this? Let's ask this. Let's go to the polls. Did I go too hard on them today? I mean, probably not making many friends at Marvel Studios, but I fucking love Marvel Studios. I'm trying to help. Okay. Let's go to the polls. Did I go too hard on Daredevil today? Let me know, chat. Let me know. Science says, Thanos had his opening scene decimating the Asgardians, Heimdall, Loki, Hulk. What will be Doom's big entrance opening scene predictions? I think it could be Kang, maybe the Council of Kangs. That could be interesting. Could also be the cosmic entities, maybe the Celestials. I mean, what if Doomsday opens up with a shot of the Celestials all gathering? Doom pops out of a portal, and he literally just fucks them up. Like, just destroys these Celestials. That would be sick. That would be sick. Crip Pro Co says, happy to be a part of the Nerd Vengers tabletop gamer here. High hopes for Warhammer. The issue is Marvel fatigue, attention spans, and the mask haters. Much love. Oh, appreciate you, brother. Yeah, tabletop gaming. I was literally playing some Warhammer last night. I only got to play a couple of rounds. The setup can be kind of arduous. So Cantina Talks, you got to hit me up. Rossi gave me your order number, so I'll try to pass that along to Teespring. But it kind of seems like Teespring's been fucking up lately. It kind of sucks. But, okay. What the hell was I talking about before I saw that? What the hell was I even talking about? Oh, Warhammer. Yeah, I was playing Warhammer last night, dude. I fucking love that game. I was having a blast. And I'm really glad that I found Warhammer because I at least have something that I really enjoy. And I can always find something cool to do with Warhammer. So, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Cantina Talks, did you try to hit up Teespring? Because, like, I don't really do any of that stuff, right? It's all Teespring. Did you hit them up? Because that's who you need to really hit up. But I can try to, like, hit them up as well. I have a person I can contact, but I don't have anything to do with the Teespring store. Go check out School Spirits, sleeper of a show. School Spirits? School Spirits. So I'm out here like, hey, Daredevil's not doing well, and y'all are telling me to go watch School Spirits? That's what's happening right now? Like, don't sleep on School Spirits. Actually, I think Elisa watches that show. I could be wrong. I don't know. Yeah, what's the show about? I don't know anything about it, but I'm pretty sure Elisa watches it. If you watch it, I'll try Warhammer. Oh, I already watched it. It's dope, bro. Have you ever played a Monster Hunter game? Maybe like a little bit, but not really, no. Not really. Cantina got nothing back from Teespring? That's crazy. That's crazy. Okay, I'll try to hit him up, man. I don't know what's up with that. Sorry. Praying the X-Men saga has peak writing? Yeah, I mean, hopefully the X-Men saga, like, Marvel's in such a weird spot because obviously things are not going well. And I think this, look, I personally think the Daredevil show, I think this news is terrible. I'm pretty down on it. Maybe I'll change my tune. Maybe there'll be some cope or maybe the show will improve or whatever. But I think it's really, really bad. Okay? Having said that, I just told you guys when that Secret Wars leak happened, I could feel it, dude. Like, I could feel the energy. People checked back in. They were really interested. They're really curious about it. Marvel's absolutely cooking with some stuff. It's just unfortunate that, like, it seems like the years building up to this thing, which was pretty formed and they had all kinds of good ideas, the lead up to it has been really bad. I think that's just the most obvious way to say it. The lead up to that has been really bad. I still think we're in for some incredible Marvel entertainment in the next couple of years. But goddamn, the rest of this year might be tough. I mean, if Daredevil is performing like this, what's Ironheart going to do? What's Wonder Man going to do? What's Marvel Zombies going to do? You know what I mean? Like, come on, man. This is not good. So there's still plenty of hope. I mean, ultimately, dude, this is why they should have canceled shit. I'm sorry. I'm going to end the stream soon. I'm sorry. I'm just up here bitching and moaning again. But this is why they should have canceled shit. Because the Titanic took forever to turn around. And there was just so much bullshit that now, even with a good show like Daredevil, people are fatigued and checked out. It's not a great time. They should have canceled those other shows. By the way, there's still time, Kevin. Cancel everything else that's coming out this year, show-wise. Literally all of it. Cancel all of it. All of it. That's what I would do. What would I cancel? All of it. How much of it? All of it. They probably won't do that. But, yeah. We're going to make it out of this. The question is, like, are we going to be talking about Doomsday making Deadpool and Wolverine money? Are we going to talk about Secret Wars making like fucking Spider-Man No Way Home money, or like less than Spider-Man No Way Home. You know, that's like the thing. And then will the X-Men movies actually pop off? Because if they really fumble the next couple of years, like let's say somehow people don't like Secret Wars and Doomsday, you think the Mutant Saga is going to go off without a hitch? That might be pretty tough. That might be pretty tough. So, you know, different strokes, different folks. I'm obviously kind of in a panic state. I was nervous about this stream, man. Like, real talk, I almost didn't stream today. Like, as I was getting ready for the stream today, dude, like, it's not great. I'm very low. This is a very low moment. I might get out here and go hit the gym so I can get some endorphins going on. You know what I mean? So we can get hyped up for tonight, because I'm still in it for the show. But damn, this is a bit of a gut punch. And I would say shame on you, Marvel Studios, for taking what was the clear forerunner and creator of the zeitgeist and allowing it to be diminished to this place. How dare you? Shame on you. And you owe fans like me. You fucking owe fans like me. I know I sound like the bitchiest, whiniest, most entitled, crazy, cringy. I know it sounds absolute, but it's true. It's true. Y'all better do better. And I think you might. But seriously, you better do better. Okay. My prediction is that you won't like episode 3. Any particular reason why, or just because I'm grumpy today? Did you hear something about episode 3? Does She-Hulk come in there? Grab him by the balls? Yeah. 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 All right, everybody. Hey, much love. Appreciate y'all. Thanks for being here. Thanks for putting up with my ass today, man. I know I'm not everybody's favorite today. A little bit of the bearer of bad news. We're totally cooked. It's absolutely fucked. But guess what? Warhammer's right around the corner, and we're going to start building up for that so that we can at least have some fun after it all goes to hell. All right. Much love. Appreciate y'all. As I always say, I hope you are having an awesome and a nerdy day. And we'll see you in the next video. Is everybody gone? Did everybody leave? you know what? I think all things considered, I thought that was a pretty good stream. I was really trying, dude. I was really trying. I don't want where I'm at as a reaction to like become the take. At the same time, I'm having a very emotional reaction because I think it's really bad. So I tried hard today to sort of straddle that line to inform, entertain, and also let some of it out, bro. This is not good. So, hope you understand. Just go watch School Spreads. But anyway, hey, much love. Appreciate y'all. We'll get through it together either way, man. You know, the Den of Warhammer kind of has a nice ring to it. You know, Nerd Theory can be all about Warhammer. You know, we can just full on pivot the whole way. So it'll be okay. You know, it'll be all right. All right, man. I'll see a lot of you guys tonight. We'll talk about it a little bit more then. Hopefully it's dope, though. Hopefully the episode's great. And I'll see you then, okay? Make sure you open up your third eye. And make sure you wash out your stinky, stinky butt.